Hey gang, today we're gonna meet the who's who of American states. Make sure you look your best because we'll be walking the red carpet of the top 10 Best States Awards to see who the latest data has selected for this year's top honors. With all the paparazzi, it's easy to be starstruck, so try and keep it together as we rub elbows with the greatest states in America. For those of you who don't live in one of the best states, no selfie or autograph requests. Play it cool like you've been here before. And wipe that goofy grin off your face. We want to get invited to the after party. Alright, act natural. Here comes one of the best states. Wait, are you crying? I said play it cool. For this ranking, we use the latest data on the economy, health, crime, infrastructure, affordability, and the environment, and let the chips fall where they may. As always, if you don't agree with our rankings, let us know in the comments why you and your favorite bottom-tier state aren't suffering from delusions of grandeur. Here we go! These are the top 10 best states in America for 2024. But first, a few honorable mentions. Colorado. For those who remember, Colorado used to be a leading man of the top 10 best states, but over time, the state has been relegated to a guest star role, and now only to uncredited cameo appearances. With its behind-the-scenes crime and infrastructure drama now front-page tabloid news, its recreational marijuana use ballooning into a full-blown addiction, and the fourth biggest rise in homelessness since the pandemic, Colorado is lucky to still have an agent. They now have the third highest property crime and have seen a huge spike in murders. Yes, the mighty have fallen, but let's be honest, Colorado's worst day is a lot better than most states' banner days, especially with it being one of the most beautiful states in America. The Centennial State has been branded the out-of-control bad boy of the best state brat pack. But despite the troubles, Colorado is still a box office hit, with the third best economy and a loyal following of millennial superfans. With the state's fifth best education ranking, some are speculating this recent downfall could just be a sophisticated ruse by a method-acting Colorado to script one of the most legendary comeback stories for the ages. I mean, if anyone could pull it off, it's Colorado. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Wyoming. While the other states get all the big city glamour shots and close-ups, Wyoming quietly steals the show with its scenic landscape backdrops. A cinematographer's dream, the cowboy state has the fifth best natural environment ranking, with the eighth highest percentage of national and state park coverage. And we're talking about the national parks, Yellowstone and Grand Teton. We hear it all the time about Wyoming having a certain je ne sais quoi, with them being small with the lowest population, but big at the same time, being the 10th largest state by area. Slap those two together and you have the lowest population density of the contiguous United States, which is shocking when you factor in they have the cheapest taxes in the nation, with the 10th lowest property tax, 7th lowest sales tax, and no income tax. Add in a good economy and where are all the people? Like Danny DeVito's mother, I was expecting more growth. Wyoming has the 7th best infrastructure ranking with the lowest commute times. They also have the 14th best education ranking, with their kids having the 3rd best reading scores and the best math scores. So why aren't they in the top 10? Can we start with the wind? Here's some life advice I had to learn the hard way. Never wear a wig in Wyoming. Trust me. They also have middle of the road crime rankings with the worst DUI scores and rank towards the bottom in public health. Sure, they're physically active and don't really do drugs, but they also have the 10th highest alcohol consumption, low happiness ratings, and the highest suicide rate in America. Listen, Wyoming has some soul searching to do in order to make the top 10, but what better place to do it than their own beautiful backyard? Maine. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Maine is exactly like Murder, She Wrote, except minus the murder, and Jessica Fletcher is less of a mystery writer / amateur detective and more of a lobster boat operator. With the 6th best crime and safety ranking, including the 11th fewest homicides, 9th lowest violent crime, and 4th lowest property crime, there isn't much need for a woman of a certain age sleuthing around. What is needed is a primary care physician that moonlights as an addiction therapist, because Maine has the 14th worst hospital, 11th highest depression, 8th most drug overdoses, and the 8th highest alcohol consumption with the 14th most DUIs. I think the cold winters with little sunlight is starting to get to them. But they do have the 5th best natural environment ranking with top tier natural beauty, including picturesque Acadia National Park. They have the 2nd highest high school graduation rate, 7th best K-12 rankings, and the 8th highest literacy rate. With all this back and forth, you would be right to call Maine a tease, especially with them having everything it takes to make the top 10, but then, at the last second, not knowing what they want and watching them throw it all away with the second highest income tax, second worst drinking water, 7th worst bridges, and the 12th lowest GDP per capita. And let's say you're a weirdo that actually wants all that drama. Well, they actually had the audacity to try and price you out with the 4th biggest increase in year-over-year home values. Whatever. All right, enough with the award show bridesmaids. Let's move on to the statue collectors. These are the states getting the standing ovations. Number 10, Rhode Island. In Hollywood, pretty much all the most successful male stars are what we would call petite. They rely on camera tricks to fool the masses into thinking they're much bigger than they actually are. But not Rhode Island. No. This pint-sized powerhouse doesn't wear lifts or stand on boxes and actually seems to revel in its little giant status. The smallest state in the nation is punching well above its weight to make it on this year's top 10 ranking. So how'd they do it? Well, like any short man who's outmatched physically, they were forced to develop some serious charisma and learn to de-escalate situations like a pro in order to survive. And boy, did they overcompensate. With the best crime and safety ranking in the nation, including the lowest homicides, 3rd lowest violent crime, and the 13th lowest property crime. Who needs size when you can mentally manhandle much larger states and knock them off this ranking? But it's not all mental. You gotta have heart, and you gotta be scrappy. Rhode Island is like the Rudy of states. Well, if states played Pee-wee football. Not only are they great walk-on athletes, but they have the 13th best health ranking and the 17th best education. Plus, they're home to the Ivy League's Brown University. The only chink in their child-sized play armor is their economy. The Gilded Age and birthplace of the Industrial Revolution are nothing more than a distant memory, with the 10th highest property taxes, 2nd lowest job growth, 12th highest cost of living, 12th highest rents, and the most expensive transportation costs in the nation. And if you can believe it, the state is actually getting smaller, with them losing people since the pandemic. I know, right? With their competitive drive, coupled with their fear of being lifted off the ground, I have no doubt they will get their finances in order and will soon be sailing closer to the top spot. Number 9, Washington. Yes, it's true. Washington has always been under a tremendous amount of pressure, being the only state named after an American celebrity. That pressure seems to have caused Washington to become the moody, brooding character who provides a dramatic backdrop to every scene. When you think about it, it makes total sense Washington would be the birthplace of the hipster. So yes, we have all them to thank. You know the type. A tattooed, handlebar mustached, thick-framed glasses wearing lumbersexual, carrying a vintage typewriter around a coffee shop all day. They're everywhere up there, and boy do they have a penchant for activism. Washington gets on this ranking by its natural beauty alone, but it feels like Mother Nature made a deal with the Evergreen State that it could be one of the most beautiful states, but it had to have one flaw, and Washington quickly responded, I choose crime. With the 2nd highest property crime and the 6th highest homelessness per capita, Washington is making good on their end of the deal. But the state is finding out that agreeing to flaws can be a slippery slope, with them now having the 9th worst infrastructure ranking with the 5th most power outages, 10th worst roads, and the 15th highest commute times. Not only that, but the waterlogged western side of Washington seems to be in a constant state of atmospheric drama that makes everyone's hair look like they just stepped out of a horror movie. Maybe that's why they have the 8th highest depression and the 9th highest excessive drinking rate. But with the 8th best health ranking and the 10th best access to healthcare, they can get the help they need. They have the 2nd longest life expectancy at 79.2 years. They also have the 4th best natural environment ranking with the 2nd best air quality and the 9th highest national and state park coverage, including the legends that are Mount Rainier, Olympic, North Cascades, and Deception Pass. Just like their parks, their economy is out this world, with the 3rd highest GDP per capita. And the state is headquarters for some of the world's biggest companies, like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Boeing, and Starbucks, just to name a very small few. Yes, the tech nerds are there, and they brought their brain power with them with the 6th best overall education ranking. Washington is legit. Well, sort of. If they can clean up the absolute nightmare spots in Seattle, slap some sense into Spokane, have a heart-to-heart with Tacoma, and make it so you didn't have to sell a kidney to live there, Washington would do their namesake proud and reclaim their number 1 spot. Number 8, Massachusetts. Do you want to live in a constant national treasure movie type scenario? Yes? Well, grab your dunks and your Revolutionary War tricorn hat because we're headed to Massachusetts. The state is so full of in-your-face history, the founding fathers would think their time machine was a dud and just go about living life in the present day like nothing happened. Speaking of time, I feel like I'm in a time loop like Groundhog Day because Massachusetts is always in the top 10, with the state having the best education ranking in the nation, second best health, and the third best crime and safety. The Bay State is showing everyone that not only do they have the cojones to help start a new country, but they also have the smarts to school everyone else on how to properly run a state. I haven't even mentioned MIT or Harvard, and they're just the tip of the 114 college iceberg. If you ever need to be brought back down to earth or just want to feel rejection for some weird reason, apply to those two schools. Not only is Massachusetts wicked smart, but they party like they're in Ibiza with the 11th highest excessive drinking rate. But they're smart enough to call a cab because they have the 6th lowest DUIs. They remind me of that guy in college who would be out until 5 a.m. completely drunk, but then ace their 8 a.m. advanced calculus exam. Meanwhile, I'm flunking poli-sci 101 on a full night's sleep. Massachusetts has the most people with health insurance, the best access to healthcare, the 4th best hospitals, 2nd lowest infant mortality, and the 8th lowest births to unwed mothers. They're the 8th most physically active state with the 4th lowest obesity, 3rd lowest suicide rate, 3rd lowest cigarette smokers, the lowest divorce rate in the nation with the 4th best life expectancy at 79 years. Okay, now let's talk crime, or lack thereof, with the 3rd fewest homicides, 6th lowest property crime, 6th lowest juvenile detention, and the lowest overall incarceration rate. They have the 2nd highest GDP per capita, 9th lowest unemployment, and the 11th lowest poverty. This place sounds perfect. So what's keeping them out of the top spot? Well, for starters, their infrastructure is shoddy, with the 7th worst roads and the 4th highest commute times. But the main culprit is the cost associated with living in the state. It's so expensive they're pricing out even the ultra rich. They have the 2nd highest cost of living, 5th highest income tax, and the 3rd highest median home value. And even with the 3rd highest income, people are still struggling to buy a home. They also have the 3rd highest rents, 3rd highest healthcare costs, and the highest childcare costs in the nation. Once Massachusetts becomes more affordable and fixes their infrastructure issues, they will no doubt be marching down the Freedom Trail to the top 3. Number 7. Florida. Florida, at times, can feel like a wild reality show that you swore was just a fever dream. The Sunshine State is constantly keeping everyone on their toes and guessing what they'll do next. Even the weather is getting in on the act, with it being as unpredictable as a Days of Our Lives plot. Speaking of the weather, it's like the sun looked at the entire country and said, you know what, I'm moving to Florida. And the sun isn't the only one that made the move, because Florida has the 3rd highest population growth since the pandemic and 2nd highest year over year. So why is everyone relocating to Florida? Well, for starters, it has the 6th best economy ranking, with the 5th highest private sector business creation and year-over-year job growth, the 7th highest GDP growth, and the 9th lowest unemployment rate. Sprinkle in no income tax and baby, you got a stew going. It also has to do with how beautiful the state is, with the 8th best natural environment ranking. Florida has the 6th highest percentage of national and state park coverage, including the Everglades, Dry Tortugas, Biscayne, and a ton of the best beaches in the country, including Destin, Clearwater, Siesta Key, St. Pete, and Amelia Island. No wonder it's the 2nd most visited state, and the residents are the 8th happiest with the 3rd lowest depression. With Florida having the 11th best crime and safety ranking, you can rest easy knowing your newly adopted Salt Life lifestyle can continue unabated, and the sticker you slapped on your minivan wasn't in vain. Florida has the cheapest college tuition in the nation, with the 4th highest college graduation rate. Plus, their kids have the 6th best math scores and the 2nd best reading scores. Yep, the media never bring up the fact Florida man and his children are educated. Speaking of running from the police, Florida is also the 9th most physically active state. And if you happen to blow out your flip-flop and step on a pop top, they have the 13th best hospitals to make sure you can make it back in time to that blender full of margaritas at your home in the Contra Republic. The main thing about Florida is its fun. From dynamic, checks all the boxes type cities like Tampa and St. Petersburg, to the ultra cool and beautiful Art Deco inspired Miami, classy Naples, artsy Sarasota, historic St. Augustine, family friendly Jacksonville, and the theme park and tourist mecca of Orlando. It has something for everyone. Most importantly, with so many fun things to do, Florida makes everyone feel young. My mom lives in the Villages, and every time I go visit her, I feel like I'm watching an MTV spring break marathon. marathon. So why isn't Florida closer to number one? Well, Florida isn't just theme parks and retirement communities. It also has devastating hurricanes that even get their own fun and misleading names like Andrew and Ian. Florida has the second highest natural disaster risk with a ton of lightning and the 10th most power outages. Combine that with the 13th highest alcohol consumption and you have yourself one bitchin' hurricane party. And despite having the 3rd best roads and 8th best bridges, they have the 7th worst commute times. Just ask anyone that's currently parked on I-4. And to top it off, housing and insurance can be extremely pricey. Honestly, I'm not sure Florida even wants to fix their problems because they know they couldn't handle the rest of the country moving there. Number 6, New Jersey. This tough guy with a heart of gold is like a sassy family comedy with a dizzying amount of hand gestures. The Garden State is a mixture of equal parts suburbs, diners, turnpike, boardwalks, and industrial charm. And despite what the government and their RICO laws would have you believe, the mafia know how to run a state. Jersey boasts the 2nd best crime and safety ranking behind only Rhode Island, with the 8th fewest homicides, 2nd lowest violent crime, 9th lowest property crime, and the 3rd lowest DUIs. Yeah? Well, what about their health? Forget about it. These mall rats aren't a one-trick boardwalk act with the 4th best health ranking, including the 2nd best hospitals, 3rd lowest infant mortality, 6th lowest obesity, 5th highest happiness rating with the 5th lowest depression, and the lowest suicide rate in America. Who wouldn't be happy surrounded by Jersey Shore people all day? And these guys aren't bums either, with the 9th best education ranking, with the highlight being a little place called Princeton. You've ever heard of it? Yeah, it's only one of the top-rated universities in the world. Stop wasting my time. Not only that, but they have the 6th highest college graduation rate, the best K-12 ranking with the 3rd best reading scores and the 4th highest funding per student. I told you they were good. What else you want to talk about? Money? Okay. How about this? New Jersey has the 11th highest GDP per capita, 10th highest private sector business creation, 7th lowest poverty rate, and the highest median household income in the nation. How's that? Oh, you want more? Okay. They have the 2nd highest public transit usage, 4th best internet ranking, 4th lowest transportation costs, and not to mention the state's piece de resistance, the boss himself, Bruce Springsteen. There is nothing more exhilarating than sitting in traffic on your way to the Big Apple, belting out Born to Run. And you gotta be tough to live here with them having extreme sports like saving a parking spot for someone and arguing over the name of processed pork. Yes, New Jerseyans are prideful, but they'll be the first to tell you in that fun accent of theirs that they have things that they need to work on, like the 3rd worst commute times, 4th highest unemployment rate, 7th highest median home value, 5th highest rents, 3rd highest childcare costs, 3rd highest car insurance, and the highest property taxes in the nation. If they can get some of these issues sorted out, their next exit off the turnpike will be to the top 3. Number 5, Connecticut. My dear boy, put on your best salmon-colored shorts, monogram polo shirt, and boat shoes because we're headed to Connecticut. Oh, and tie that cashmere sweater over your shoulder for good measure. For those who haven't been, Connecticut is full of quaint, charming little towns that all seem to be auditioning for a Gilmore Girls reboot, with a bit of the Great Gatsby, Dead Poets Society, and Eyes Wide Shut mixed in. Connecticut, the affluent playground for the East Coast old money socialite bon vivant set, is living its best life as an exclusive member of the top 5. Yes, they feel right at home, with private clubs and secret societies being nothing new to the state. And with all that wealth, you better believe they're taking care of themselves. With the 6th best health ranking, Connecticut has figured out that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, with them having the 7th best education rankings, including the 7th most college graduates, 3rd best K-12 ranking, and the 3rd highest funding per student. Connecticut is also home to Yale University, a top-rated Ivy League powerhouse, best known for being the setting of the 2000 Paul Walker and Joshua Jackson thriller, The Skulls. To all the social climbers aspiring to a higher station and thinking of a move to elegant Greenwich and the Gold Coast, you better mind your P's and Q's at all the garden parties, my darlings, because Connecticut is not tolerating the riffraff. With the 9th best crime and safety ranking, including the 4th lowest violent crime. Connecticut is also dropping some major coin on the 11th best infrastructure, with the 9th fewest power outages, 8th best public public transit system, and the 7th best internet ranking. Connecticut also has the 4th highest percentage of national and state park coverage, 5th highest GDP per capita, 8th lowest poverty rate, and the lowest per capita expense on welfare. So yes, it would be rather uncouth to ask which local shops accept your SNAP benefits. And with New York City right down the road from this tranquil state, excitement is never far away. Well, with the 11th worst commute times, it kind of is. So what keeps Connecticut out of the top 3? You don't need to be Miss Cleo to see this one coming. It's expensive. With the 3rd highest property taxes, 11th highest cost of living, 8th highest rents, and the 9th highest college tuition with the 5th most debt at graduation. Plus, how many people say, when I grow up, I want to live in the insurance capital of the world? Come on, get real. Some may say they peaked at number 5, but if they can fix some of their problems, I can see them flying first class to the top 3. Number 4, Vermont. Let me set the scene. You just got back to your grandparents' rustic house from a fall-time festival where you ate farm-to-table food, watched the cow parade, picked up some handcrafted knickknacks, and won the pancake flipping contest. You're wrapped in a cozy blanket, hand-woven by a local artisan using sustainably sourced wool. You have your favorite pint of Maple Tree Hugger Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and you're about to watch a feel-good family Hallmark movie. Life is good. The Green Mountain State is no stranger to the top 5, and for good reason, with many living Hallmark movie scenarios like the one I just described. The progressive twin to libertarian New Hampshire, Vermont is filled with wholesome, peaceful, aging New England hippies with the 5th best crime and safety ranking, including the lowest violent crime in the nation, the 2nd best infrastructure ranking with the 4th fewest power outages, 6th best bridges, and the 12th best roads. Speaking of roads, Vermont is one of 4 states that have outlawed billboards. Not seeing a constant barrage of annoying signs telling you that exit 205 has the largest selection of porn/fireworks in the area is a pretty big win if you ask me. As you can see, Vermonters have a good head on their shoulders, especially with the 3rd best education ranking, including the 3rd most college graduates, and the highest high school graduation rate in the country. And can we talk fashion for a minute? With all the flannel, corduroy, and Birkenstock couture, Vermont is putting New York on notice. You know what else is turning heads? Vermont's 10th best natural environment ranking, including the least amount of industrial toxins, least amount of natural disasters, pristine and gorgeous landscapes including Lake Champlain, the Northeast Kingdom, and some of the best fall foliage in America. The state also has the 14th best health ranking with the 7th highest life expectancy and is also the 3rd most physically active state with the 3rd lowest obesity. Man, Vermont sounds too good to be true. What's keeping them out of the top 3? Well, let me set another scene. It's now the dead of winter. Grandpa's been drinking again. You barely see the sun, and it's so cold, leaving the house isn't really an option. I mean, where are you gonna go? The festivals have all left town. And that voice inside your head, it calls to you, and it whispers things like, hey champ, wouldn't life be so much more interesting if we sprinkled a little chaos and confusion in there? I heard they sell it in pill form. Okay, this could get pretty dark pretty quick. Let's just say Vermont, like all the northern states, suffers from seasonal affective disorder, which helps contribute to Vermont's high drug overdose, suicides, alcohol consumption, and depression. On top of that, Vermont has some work to do with a middle-of-the-road economy, high cost of living, and the 2nd most homelessness per capita in the nation, and with the highest increase since the pandemic. If Vermont can spark their economy, bring down the cost of living, and keep an eye on Grandpa during the winter, they will absolutely be back in the top 3. Number 3, Idaho. Are you ready for a wholesome, great outdoors adventure flick with a twist of white nationalist survivalism? Well, then the Gem State is for you. Just don't tell them you're from California, or Washington, or anywhere else, really. Idaho is home to the nicest people who don't want you to move anywhere near them. I think they're just being overprotective because they know they have such a good thing going. With the 5th best economy ranking, including the 4th highest GDP growth, 2nd highest private sector business creation, 2nd highest job growth, and the largest increase in median household income in the nation. The funny thing is, without Idaho being the 4th fastest growing state year over year and the fastest since the pandemic, a lot of the prosperity the state is experiencing wouldn't be happening. But let's not even bring that up to them or try and ruffle any feathers. Let's be polite and respectful as we invade and completely take over their territory. I'm just kidding, Idaho. But seriously, what's the worst they'll do? Yell at us? After all, they have the 7th best crime and safety ranking with the 6th fewest homicides, 11th lowest violent crime and the lowest property crime in the country. Another reason people are flocking to Idaho is for the top-notch natural beauty and the incredible outdoor recreation the state offers, like skiing in world-renowned Sun Valley, rafting the Snake River, water sports on Lake Coeur d'Alene, playing the floor is lava at the Craters of the Moon National Park, hiking up to Shoshone Falls, and relaxing as you float down the Boise River. Not only is Idaho pretty, it's clean with the 14th best natural environment ranking with barely any pollution, little to no natural disaster risks, and the 5th best air quality. And it's easy to get around the state with the 5th best infrastructure ranking, including the 10th lowest commute times and the 11th best roads. And other than all the fat and healthy babies being born here, the people are not what you would consider chunky, with Idaho being such a physically active state with low obesity. They have the 12th best health ranking with the 10th highest life expectancy. Idaho could take best state honors if it wasn't for their 37th ranked education, including the 4th lowest college graduation rate, 2nd lowest amount of high school seniors going to college, and the worst funding per student in the nation. Although they do have the 10th cheapest college tuition and debt at graduation, and also really cool blue football turf. Go Broncos. The main reason people are flooding into Idaho is because of the quality of the people. With a friendly populace centered around family values, independence, and personal responsibility, where volunteering is practically a pastime, drugs, alcohol, and homelessness are not problems, and marriage is important, especially when you're pregnant. All of that leads to the nation's 8th highest happiness score, and outside people desperately wanting to live the exact same lifestyle. Yes, Idaho, our wanting to be just like you could, theoretically, mirror the plot of the movie Single White Female, but that's no reason to call the police. Put the phone down. Our obsession with you is completely normal, don't you see? Number 2. Utah. From the state that brought you the Sundance Film Festival comes this ranking's feel-good family blockbuster with a hint of Westworld vibes. Utah is always in contention for best state honors, and this year was no different. Like a Mormon on a Jell-O-induced sugar high, the Beehive State has been absolutely buzzing with activity, with the 8th highest year-over-year population growth and the 6th highest since the pandemic. All that movement has helped trigger the 7th highest GDP growth and lowered the already rock-bottom 2nd lowest poverty, further solidifying Utah as this nation's undisputed economic powerhouse, which also includes the 10th highest job growth, 8th lowest unemployment, 3rd highest private sector business creation, and the best labor participation in the nation. Utah is flexing on the rest of America. Along with the best economy, Utah has the best infrastructure ranking, with the 2nd most homes with internet service, 4th best bridges, and the 9th lowest commute times. Utah is consistently ranked in the top 10 for natural beauty, with the 14th most national and state park coverage, resulting in it being one of the most visited states, with the state boasting the mighty 5 national parks of Arches, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, and Zion. You can see why it's so popular. The whole state looks like I gave my 2-year-old a giant orange crayon and told him, just go to town. But seriously, its beautiful landscapes will make you believe in a higher power, and it couldn't come at a better place with Utah being the Mormon capital of the world. They have a stranglehold on pretty much all activity going on in the state. But like that's a bad thing. I say we get these Mormons mobilized and move them into the top 10 worst states to help them get their lives together. Maybe they can help enact similar complex liquor laws where you need a degree from MIT just to figure out when and where you can get a drink. Speaking of degrees, Utah has the 4th cheapest college tuition with the least amount of debt at graduation. Utah has the 5th best health ranking with the 9th highest life expectancy at 78.6 years, the lowest cigarette smokers, lowest consumption of alcohol, highest volunteer rate, and the highest happiness rating in the nation. With Utah so close to perfection, what's holding them back from claiming the best state crown? Well, believe it or not, Utah is the 2nd most unsafe state on this ranking behind Washington. What? And I know everyone's first instinct is to blame the Mormons, but like I highlighted earlier, they're not the problem. The state is doing well with the 4th lowest homicides and 6th lowest DUIs, but with a middle-of-the-road violent crime ranking and high property crime, that just isn't gonna cut it for top honors. They also have the 5th worst air quality and industrial toxins. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but Utah needs to have a coming to Jesus moment and get their crime stats and other problems in order. If they did, they could possibly, maybe, give the next state a run for their money. All right, before we get to number 1, if this has been informative and enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos. With that out of the way, number 1, New Hampshire. Citizen Kane, The Godfather, Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, The Muppets Take Manhattan. What do all these films have in common? They're widely regarded as some of the best of all time. Well, depending on who you ask. When evaluating the top states, New Hampshire stole the show and stiff-armed the other states into oblivion by being in the top 10 for every single category. Not only that, they scored double the points of second place Utah. Folks, we are witnessing an absolute juggernaut of a state completely dominating in their prime and who is light years ahead of the competition. And to top it off, the Granite State just has a cool vibe. They're like a bunch of rebellious teenagers with a live free or die attitude. All right, here comes New Hampshire to accept their award. I heard they're going to include some of their impressive stats in their acceptance speech. What a power move. Thank you. Thank you. First off, we're humbled to be in the company of such talented states. I'm sure people in the award show comment section will say otherwise, but we all know they're suffering from delusions of grandeur, and let's hope someday they get the help they so desperately need. We'd like to thank our agent, Vermont, the rest of America for believing in us, and to World Rankings for this honor. We couldn't have done it without our second best economy, including no sales or income taxes, fifth lowest unemployment, the lowest poverty rate in the nation, and the highest population growth amongst millennials. Not only did we need street smarts and Yankee ingenuity to get here, but we also needed our second best education ranking, including the 8th most college graduates, 3rd highest high school graduation rate, 2nd best K-12 ranking, and the best literacy rate in the country. And if that wasn't enough, we're home to, by far, the best Ivy League school, Dartmouth College. We did it, Keggy. We wouldn't have got here if it wasn't for our second best natural environment ranking, with the 7th best air quality and 2nd lowest industrial toxins. And just like our neighbors, we're considered beautiful and stylish with our gorgeous Lake Winnipesaukee, the White Mountains, our charming seacoast, and our world-class fall foliage. You asked for infrastructure, and we delivered with the 5th best infrastructure ranking, including the most homes with internet service and the 6th fewest power outages. Okay, folks, the music has started, and the producers are telling New Hampshire to wrap it up. They're just listing way too many accomplishments. And with the 2nd best roads, you can easily get up to Bretton Woods and the Loon Mountain slopes and feel like you're in a ski-themed rom-com. Unlike the top 10 worst states, crime is virtually non-existent in our neck of the woods, with us having the 8th best crime and safety ranking, including the 7th fewest homicides. And finally, this award is dedicated to our 10th best health ranking, which includes the 4th highest life expectancy, 4th best access to healthcare, with decent rankings on physical activity, happiness, and volunteering. Thank you again to all our fans. We couldn't have done it without you. Honey, put the kids to bed. Okay, it looks like they're escorting New Hampshire off stage so we can go to a commercial break. Congratulations, New Hampshire. What a year. You deserve it. And that is your top 10 best states in America for 2024. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time.